evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the Nerdic Pro podcast. How are we this evening? Here in the UK, good, very early morning, as it is 1:30 currently. Um, so my name is, as per usual, Bobby effing Salastar, and momentarily I shall be being joined by a fellow wrestling podcast host from the Wrestling with Hart with Stanley Karr, the one and only Mr. Stanley Karr, all the way from Tennessee in the United States of America, the other side of the pond. And so Stanley Karr runs a wrestling-based podcast known as Wrestling with Hart with Stanley Karr, where he brings on various different wrestlers, who are trying to give back to their community in one way, shape or form, in terms of charity work, training people in the wrestling business, etc., trying to make people, a better human being, if you know what I mean. But I'll let Stanley Karr explain the concept of his podcast as soon as he manages to come on to the stream. Fingers crossed he can find the find the page. Where's the thingy? Excuse me. Stanley, if you're there, mate, if I can get you to comment something random in the comments, then fingers crossed I should be able to invite you that way. I hope. So, this is the Nerdic Pro podcast's second international podcast. We've done one international I've done one international interview last year. Oh, here we are. Approve. Yeah. Fingers crossed he should be able to come on now. I hope.
Hey there.
Yeah, hello there. How you getting on?
Hey there. I'm trying to rotate my screen. Hold on one second.
I can't hear you. Bear with me 2 seconds. Right. I can't seem to hear you for some reason. Hang on. Can you hear me?
I hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Right. Why is that? Yeah. Right.
Well, I'm holding it like this. I don't know if.
Right. Why is that being like? Right. If I press that. No. Tell you what. If you leave the stream and then come back in, I think that'll probably be the best solution.
Okay. I'll do it again.
So this is our second international podcast here on the Nerdic Pro. Obviously, the first one was with Demolition Dave Davis from Germany. And then this is our first international podcast collaboration, if you know what I mean. So, fingers crossed I'll be able to hear Stanley when he comes back onto the stream. I don't know why I wasn't able to hear him. Technology here on the Nerdic Pro, ladies and gentlemen. For all the regular viewers, you should know that us here on the Nerdic Pro podcast hate technology. And, so yeah. Hello again.
Hey there. I don't know why. I don't know why it's like this. It says you have to rotate your phone to join, but
Right, for some reason I can't hear you again.
I don't know why. I don't know why that is.
If I...
Is it muted?
Why is that? Right, shouldn't be a thing. It's not that, is it? There. Don't know what that is. Yeah. Tell you what I'll do is I'll make another stream and then do it that way.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh wait, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
How you getting on? You right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here. Great to be here.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you for
Pleasure.
having me.
Yeah, no worries. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the Nerdic Pro podcast, welcome to an international podcast, shall we say? And so with me on the line is none other than the host of the Wrestling with Hart with Stanley Karr podcast, Mr. Stanley Karr. Now, Stanley, you've obviously getting into wrestling and doing podcasts, etc., must have been, through being a fan of the wrestling business. So, sort of take us back to your first experiences with the wrestling business. How, when, and why did you first get into the wrestling business, like in the first place?
So I first got into wrestling when I was about 5. I was just casually one night. My dad was watching television. He was watching WWE. He was watching Monday Night Raw. The Rock was on, and I just turned to my dad and just said, what are you watching? And he goes, I'm watching wrestling. And so I see this guy, this larger-than-life, jacked-up dude, Dwayne Johnson, with his, his shirts and pants and just this charismatic figure. He had the glasses and calling out, I believe it was the Big Show, over something. And so I think they were having a rivalry. This is right around the time Austin was out. Stone Cold Steve Austin had an injury. I think it was a neck injury. And then Triple H was like the top heel of the company at the time. So it was like during the Attitude Era, man. The product was hot. So if you weren't a fan at that point, I mean, you missed out because there was a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. So, would you say that your first incarnation of like The Rock, would you say that it's because of The Rock why you're into the business, or would you say that the more you watched of the product, like the more you got into it, sort of thing?
I think it's a combination of both. Obviously, The Rock was like such a huge influence. To this day, he's still my favorite wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
But as the more I watched it, the more I just got hooked right away. Like I love the storylines, the characters, the pageantry, everything. I mean, I actually feel like I enjoy it more now than I did when I was a kid because there's just so much out there. It's crazy.
Yeah. Like I know a few people that first got into wrestling through the Attitude Era, and they go back for like a nostalgic sort of point of view, and like with the benefit of like the WWE Network and YouTube, etc. Like there's so much wrestling out there, like as you say, to go and view. So would you say that the Attitude Era was like your favorite sort of time period in the wrestling business then? Or would you say that you had like a different sort of favorite sort of time period?
Well, I like the Attitude Era. I think definitely it seems like it brought wrestling to a whole new level, reached greater heights that were previously not seen before. Personally, my favorite time period was the Ruthless Aggression Era.
Yep.
The reason why I say that is because for a period of time, I kind of fell out of wrestling shortly after the Invasion storyline happened. I kind of regret that I did because I missed out on some good stuff, but I got right back into it maybe, say, around 2004. this was like around the time, the brand split was still going on. You had your main event stars like Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio.
Yep.
JBL was just coming on the scene as a top heel, so it was just I feel like it was really underrated. And I went back and I started watching old footage again, man. It's just really great time period. You had really like a really unique blend, because you had the raunchiness of the Attitude Era mixed in with some really good wrestling. Really good wrestling.
Definitely. I mean, like in like the mid 2000s, the WWE was literally the only sort of wrestling out there. TNA was just starting up, but they, in my opinion, I don't think that TNA was sort of getting big until in and around the time they first split from the NWA in 2007 sort of time. Like my sort of favorite time in TNA was like 2007 to like 2011 until, Eric Bischoff, Hulk Hogan, and all that came in. And but yeah, like the Ruthless Aggression era, I got into wrestling right at the tail end of that, because funnily enough, I was born in November of 2004, right? And so obviously, would you say that you had any sort of favorite matches or favorite storylines from being a fan of the wrestling business?
You're talking about in general, or just like from that time period, the Ruthless Aggression era?
Just like in general.
Oh, okay. So I'd say Undertaker and Kane, probably one of my favorite storylines. Yeah. Just because of like the brothers and betrayal and just the theatrics of everything. I think that was really unique. It was something different. I'd say Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels was a really good rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
They had some classic matches. I enjoyed those matches. Eddie Guerrero had some really good ones with Kurt Angle and JBL. I like those matches a lot. I think the feud with JBL is kind of underrated in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just because of the backstory and how like when JBL was like trying to break into that main event scene, Eddie helped him become that really, dastardly heel.
Yeah.
It really like, if you go back and watch it, man, it's just, it's really a slept on feud. It really is a slept on feud. But yeah, I mean, so many good ones out there. Rock and Triple H, of course, as I mentioned earlier, got into wrestling because of The Rock. Stone Cold and The Rock, of course, is an iconic feud. Their match at WrestleMania 19 is another good match that they had. Their last match that they had against each other. They told a really good story.
Yeah.
My opinion is probably the best out of the three that they've had.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like wrestling, isn't about, the actual physicality of the match, that you say, like the big portion of the wrestling itself is the storytelling. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you look at the Bloodline at the moment and Roman Reigns, that's been going on just shy of 4 years now. Cody Rhodes has been waiting his entire career to try and get his hands on the title. Do you know what I mean? So storytelling is a big factor of the storyline, the match, etc. Do you know what I mean? And so obviously being a fan of the business and getting to express your love for wrestling in a podcasting style, you obviously run the Wrestling with Hart with Stanley Karr podcast. Talk us through how you first started up doing the Wrestling with Hart. Is that something that was in the pipeline for a while for you to start doing, or was it something that you just sort of came up with and then pretty much straight away you would started like interviewing people?
Well, at first I had started Wrestling with Hart as part of a class project I was doing for a class that I was taking on podcasting. I work at a community college in the United States. And so I was taking this podcasting class, and I decided, I had already gone to WrestleMania 38 that year,
Yep.
and in Dallas, and I went to SummerSlam in Nashville, which is where I'm from, and I said, this is a pretty good time to start doing a wrestling podcast. And so I always thought, why not do a wrestling podcast that nobody's really ever done before? Because there's so many of them out there, like a ton of them on the internet, a plethora of them on the internet. So why not do something different that nobody's really ever done before? And the one thing I felt like nobody's really ever touched on, at least to really emphasize much on, is the charity work that these guys and gals do, and giving back to your community. It's not just about being these tough individuals that you see, lock up and take each other down and hit people with chairs. These people are human beings.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show the human element to this as well. And so I had done 7 episodes, and when the class was over, I said, you know what? I'd like to continue on with this. And I've been doing it a year now, and I want to continue this into the future. I've got some big plans coming up in the new year.
Yeah, lovely. I mean, like, you've worked with people like Al Snow and, Devon Dudley, and a few guys from TNA, like, as well as is it Kid Rock as well? Like, I think you've done quite recently, haven't you? Kid Cash, that was it. Yeah, Kid Cash. Yeah. So, obviously Al Snow, massive name from like the Attitude Era. Devon Dudley, Hall of Fame, one half, in like my opinion, of like one of the greatest tag teams to ever grace the earth. That must have been like good for you, like good for the podcast to bring somebody like that on and talk about the stuff like that they're doing to give back to the community. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Getting those names out there, tries to. I want to get as many eyes on this podcast as possible, because it's great to hear these legends tell their stories and to inspire someone. There's just, I feel like this is a first of its kind, and now I'm into year 2, and I really want to see this grow and take off. And we just got up to 300 subscribers now on YouTube, so I'm aiming to build on that and get up to 500. And eventually, I'd like to get this syndicated on radio.
Yeah. Like, I know that you do work closely on a radio show as well, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been doing radio now close to 10 years.
Right.
I know that's hard to believe. I've been doing college radio and commercial radio, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it, and I kind of wanted to combine my 2 loves here. So this is really a special project for me, and I really enjoy doing this.
Yeah. So would you say that doing the radio helped as such with the podcasting then?
Yes, it definitely did. The more experience you get, the more skills you get. Yeah. And so that's kind of, something that's kind of helped with this. So just keep on building and building.
Yeah, lovely. So for anybody listening to this podcast that, as for argument's sake, never actually heard of the Wrestling with Hart with Stanley Karr, how could they find your podcasts, and like how could they find a way to follow the Wrestling with Hart with Stanley Karr?
Well, we're on Facebook. Just type in Wrestling with Hart with Stanley Karr. Find us there. We're always looking to get more likes and more followers on our Facebook page, We're on X, formerly known as Twitter, at WWHWSK. You can find us there. We're on Instagram at Wrestling with Hart, and we're on Threads at Wrestling with Hart. The podcast is available on pretty much any podcast platform there is. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on iHeartRadio, and we're on YouTube.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I was going to say, I have listened to your podcasts on YouTube primarily, because YouTube and Spotify are like my main two sort of go-tos to listen to various bits and pieces. And like, I must say that, you know, until like I actually heard of the Wrestling with Hart, I never actually thought that personally, I never even thought about wrestlers giving back to the community, doing various bits of charity work. So, would you say in the pretty much dozens of guests that you've actually had on now in the just over a year that you've been podcasting, would you say that you had like any particular like most touching story, like if you know what I mean, from
Yeah.
the people that you actually had on?
Yes. There was one lady, a young lady who um, got into the business. She went all over the country to get training. She trained under Funaki and and Rikishi as well. And midway through her training, she broke her foot,
Okay.
and she, at the time she was homeless. She lived in her car. She didn't have the money to pay for surgery up until recently. So, now that she's got her surgery, she's looking to get back into the ring, and she was praised by Rikishi. Her and her friend were praised by him, and said in front of their class, these two are professional wrestlers.
Yeah. Yeah, lovely. Yeah. So through the podcasting, do you want to open eyes to like some more wrestling personnel to try and give back to their community?
Yes, absolutely. I'd like to inspire as many people as I can to give back, and even for the people that are not wrestling fans, this podcast I feel like is a really good one. It'll get people, open their eyes a bit, get motivated. It's a very inspirational podcast, not just
Yeah,
a
definitely.
wrestling podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So so it is so obviously like it started up as someone from college, right? Is this something that you wanted to do like long term then, presumably?
Yeah. I want to continue this podcast, and like I said, I would like to get this syndicated on radio, and I'd like to turn my interviews into books and come out with some books of
Right.
of the interviews that I've done.
Yeah, so sort of talk us through like getting them into like the books then. Like, would you say that, having like the stories that the guys have told, getting that like transcribed like into a book?
Yes. Any way I can do that, that's kind of the goal. One of the goals, because I think that'll bring more people to the podcast, and really it's all about the branding and marketing. So I'd like to be more than just a podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So so I'll touch on your radio then. Obviously America is a really big place, right?
Yeah.
Like especially that's what us guys over this side of the pod think, anyways. And yeah, so like, is your radio station like a local thing, or is it like a national thing, or is it like a statewide thing?
Yeah, like we have local radio stations in our community, and I work for a couple of them. Like I said, I've been working at my college station for almost 4 years now, and I've been doing some part-time work at a nearby station. So I've been doing that for almost 5 years now, off and on. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it, making people smile and brighten their days. And I think I always wanted to do something in the entertainment business, and so I found my calling.
Yeah, lovely. So, what's sort of like your main sort of topics that you talk about a lot on your radio? Is it wrestling based? Is it inspirational based? Is it?
It's just mainly just stuff going on, around our communities, and talking about the music and just local stuff.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Things that people might be interested in.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So sort of like touching back onto the wrestling, is the rest of the business something that you've been interested in, trying to try out for yourself and become the next Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the next Stone Cold Steve Austin?
I mean, as a kid, you dream about that stuff, and then at some point, you start, reality kind of hits you in the face, and not everybody is, unfortunately, going to be cut out for it. But the good thing is that there's all kinds of jobs in the wrestling business, like announcing or interviewing. Those jobs look like fun, so you never know.
Yeah. So would you say that you had anyone that you haven't had on the Wrestling with Heart yet that you would like to bring on?
There's tons of people. I could be here all day listing them.
Mm.
Talking about like Mick Foley would be a great guest. Kurt Angle would be a great guest.
Yeah.
Trish Stratus would be a great guest.
Yeah.
Tori Wilson would be a great guest. Stacy Keibler would be a great guest.
Yeah.
Even just so many people. I could be here all day naming names.
Yeah. I was going to say, this is the thing with the rest of the business. There's tens of thousands of people involved all over the world. From the wrestlers to the commentators to, obviously the interviewers, like the referees, etc. Like the list could be endless. Do you know what I mean? So how many podcasts have you actually done up to date now? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I probably am wrong, right? It's sort of in like the mid-60s or something now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or like thereabouts.
Yeah, like the last episode we just put out was 63. Tomorrow, the people that are listening to this in the U.S., this will be 64, episode 64 coming out tomorrow. And I've now, as of today, as of this podcast that we're doing, I've got about 82, a little over 80 podcasts recorded.
Right.
And so the more content I put out, the better I can start making this like I wanted to start making this a weekly thing. So it kind of was like every few weeks, but now I've got stuff where I can send stuff out every week, which is what I want to keep doing. And so that way more people will come out, come in, come check out what we have every week. So this has become a weekly podcast.
Yeah. I mean, like, as we touched on earlier, like there's, again, countless amounts of podcasts out there, like just for wrestling alone, again, could be here all day counting all of them, right? So how do you sort of get yourself prepared for a podcast? Like, you're getting ready to sit down and record, like, how would you get yourself ready for it?
Well, what I usually do is I research my guests ahead of time. And I like to talk to them and ask them questions about their life and where they grew up, their childhood and upbringing, and then talk about what made them really get into wrestling. We'll talk about the wrestling stuff first, and then the second half there is the stuff that they've done in their community. That's pretty much how I felt like I would map it out. Like, once I had a template, I mean, I'm just going to go with that. Always go with what works. You can change things up every now and then, and as I get more experienced and more seasoned, I can change things up. But right now, I want to stick to the formula, stick to what works.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah. As we touched on earlier, would you say that you had like a particular? Well, I've already asked that. Yeah. So, have you ever done anything like internationally before, like this now?
No, this is the first one.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, when we were sort of messaging on Facebook earlier, it's obviously started at around like 7:30 p.m. over your time, and it was like
Mhm.
1:30 a.m.
Yeah.
over here in the UK.
Yeah.
And yeah, which bit of a time difference, if you know what I mean. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Logistics.
yeah, like during the summer, like I don't know whether or not you guys know, but I think that we are the only country, or like one of the only countries, that every 6 months we change our times, right, for the farmers and all
Well,
that. So
we
we'll
do that.
push
Yeah,
it,
we do that here too with daylight
right?
savings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like we'll sort of set the clocks back and like set the clocks forward. And when I first put the announcement post out that this collaboration was going to happen, I put out 2:30 a.m. Like the clocks have like gone forward, and I thought, oh god. And then I had to double check like the other day, and just to put like the right sort of time zones out, just to make sure that people that wanted to watch live actually could.
Mhm.
And yeah, because this is the second international one that I've done. I had a fella on from Germany on
Oh
about
wow.
a year ago,
Oh
and there's only like an hour time difference between us and them. So yeah, because in the States you've got what, 3 or 4 different time zones, haven't you?
yeah. Central, Eastern, Pacific, and I believe it's Mountain Time, if
Right.
I'm not mistaken. That fourth one.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas over here we have got 4 countries within the UK, so England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland,
Mhm.
and we're all under like the same time zone. And yeah, like a majority of the people that I have had on are within the confines of the UK, so it's sort of easier that way. And, yeah,
Yes.
so
Yes.
yeah. Would you say that you have enjoyed doing the podcasts with the Wrestling with Hart? Like that's the main thing.
Oh, without question, I enjoy it. I really do.
Mm.
In fact, last night, and I'll just give everybody that's listening to this, that's watching this, a heads up. I got to speak with former WWE Tag Team Champion Rico Constantino last night,
Oh
and
wow.
he was just what a story that man has had.
Mm.
And for those of you that are watching this and listening to this, I cannot wait for this episode to drop. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
I have a great time with my guests and enjoy speaking with every one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, like, from a fan point of view, you know, like it must be good to, you know, watch, like, speak to your idols, you know, speak with people that, you know, that you've grown up watching,
Yes.
you know, and yeah, and then getting to hear, you know, various stories they've got, you know, and because again, podcasting is like all about telling stories, you know, like whenever you're interviewing anyone, like not just wrestling, but anything, you know,
Exactly.
like when you bring on like legends of any business, you know, football, as you guys call it, soccer, and like basketball, rugby, cricket, etc., you know, legends of that business telling various stories, you know, it's just sentimental, really. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And yeah, so like, are you into like any other sports or anything like the NFL or
Yeah. I mean,
anything like that?
yeah. I mean, I'll watch football and I'll watch hockey. I've been to several hockey games. We've got a team in Nashville called the Predators. I've been to several games.
Yep.
A lot of fun to go to in person. Um, I watched the Super Bowl the other night.
Yep.
I enjoyed it. The game was really, really good, and I love the halftime show. I thought Usher did a really good job.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just a casual sports fan. I'm a music fan, more of a
Yeah.
music guy, honestly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of
So
my outside of wrestling.
yeah. So would you say that podcasting wise, you would probably bring on somebody from, you know, like a hockey player or a musician, shall we say, like to do like a podcast with them, or even have them on a guest on the radio show?
Yeah, I mean, never say never. At some point, you know, I'll definitely keep that in mind for the future.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Lovely. Yeah. So. Sorry, got a bit of a frog in my throat. And yeah, so yeah, Stanley, I must say It's been an absolute pleasure to have yourself on the podcast.
Yeah,
I've been watching your podcast for the best part of about 6 months now. And I must say that the work you're doing is absolutely fantastic. Do you know what I mean?
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So, yeah, have you got anything to add on to the end of this podcast tonight?
Yeah, everybody, like I said, follow us on Facebook. We're on Facebook at Wrestling with Hart with Stanley Karr, X, WWHWSK. We're on Instagram at Wrestling with Hart, Threads at Wrestling with Hart, and like I said, all podcast platforms: Apple, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube. We're on there, so please subscribe. We just reached our goal at getting 300 subscribers. Now the goal is to get up to 500. And let's just keep this thing rolling, man. I really feel this is going to be a great year for us.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, so yeah, go and follow the Wrestling with Hart with Stanley Karr podcast. From experience, from watching it, I must say you will not be disappointed at all. There's lots of content out there, and so yeah, Stanley, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on. I must say, thank you very much for taking the time out of your evening to appear tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So for those who wanted to know, this week's episode of Nerdic Pro Weekly will be taking place at 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, UK time. So all in all, in about 17 hours. Be sure to check that out. I will have an announcement for upcoming referee gigs. So, stay tuned for that. And so Stanley, it has been an absolute pleasure. I will share the links on the Nerdic Pro Podcast Facebook page to have people follow your pages directly. And so Stanley, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on. And and thank you all very much for those of you that have been watching. And I shall be seeing you all later on. Stanley, been a pleasure, man.
Thank you
very much.
You too.
Yeah, thank you very much. Take care, guys. See you all later. Goodbye.